Get this started, man. Again, I appreciate you joining me tonight. And I want to ask you, what does ambitious mean to you?
Let me tell you, I was so excited about this conversation and dialogue, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
Is the church has an issue with ambition as if it is a sin or something wrong with it. I think that ambition is needed and necessary for us to be able to dream more and to go for more. Somehow we have made ambition a secular term, as if we ought not have any goals or have any expectations or any levels we're trying to reach. I think ambition is a great thing. When I was just starting out my church, I had 43 members, and I got a white top sheet, and I got a young man who was a teenager at the time in my church to spray Empowerment Temple on it. Okay. I had a Panasonic camcorder, and I bought time on access cable for $50 a week. And all the preachers in Baltimore were laughing at me. And I had my 47 members, and I said, one day I'm going to be on international television. That was ambition.
Yes, sir.
And I understood that it was needed and was necessary for me to drive to get to where it is that I am today.
Yes, sir. And ambitious means the desire to achieve and be successful. And I think that's what you have already demonstrated. So let me ask you this: what makes you ambitious?
I think the fear of failing God. Miles Monroe said many years ago that the best ideas are in the cemetery because people die with their dreams instead of living with them. And I don't want to live at half my capacity or half my potential without realizing all that God has equipped me to accomplish.
And you know what, Dr. Bryant, man, that's why I call this the blueprint, simply because, you know, God instilled, he give us the assignment, and then he instilled the blueprint inside of us. And it's up to us to work it out and make it happen. Even though when you have the blueprint, you see everything right there on paper, but you have to go through different things before you get to the point of success, right? That's the way I look at that. So,
absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes. What's amazing, I often use this analogy with entrepreneurs, is that God told Noah to build the ark when he had never built a rowboat. He had never seen a canoe. He had no construction experience. Half of the things on the blueprint were not indigenous to where Noah lived. Yeah. It took longer because the products had to be imported. And the biggest, most glaring exclamation point is Noah didn't know whether the ark would work until it rained. Sometimes when you deal with that blueprint, you have the blueprint doesn't come with a guarantee.
You're right.
You're right. You can follow it and still not be there. Do you know how many emerging rappers have all volumes of Jay-Z's blueprint and are still not billionaires?
That's right. You're right.
Because that blueprint has got to match your assignment. Yes. There are a lot of people who are envious or jealous of what it is that you do, but they're not assigned to what it is that you are doing. Wow. And your degrees don't get you there. Your last name doesn't get you there. Your pedigree doesn't get you there. It is really just the unmerited favor of God. If he'll blow on that blueprint, I'm telling you, you'll be able to do some stuff that degrees would never be able to walk you in.
Wow, man, I love it, man. Now, your upbringing, we know that your father was a pastor, was a bishop.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about your upbringing. How was it like growing up as a child?
I'm a third generation preacher. So my father was a bishop, my grandfather, my mother, my aunt, my sister. All things PK, I was that. Everything y'all have heard about the preacher's kid, I lived up to it with flying colors. Yeah. I failed the 11th grade, had a child out of wedlock. I was the embarrassment of my church. And God had grace on me, even though I was kicking against the prick.
Yes.
I'm appreciative for my uprearing. I've got a bipolar Black existence. My father's side of the family is the Cosby Show. My mother's side of the family is Good Times.
Yeah.
So everybody in my father's side of the family went to HBCUs, did all of the Black emerging bourgeois class would do. My mother comes out of the projects of New York. And so I have that balance in my life, in my perspective, and can I say even in my ministry.
Okay, that's good, man. Now, I wanted to kind of go back to, you know, what you said about the 11th grade. So that was 1988, right? You
89.
you failed 89. You
80,
failed
88.
Yes, sir. You failed the 11th grade, but a lot of people don't know that you went on to Morehouse. Then you went from Morehouse to Duke. Then you went from Duke to Oxford. And now you're known as a bona fide scholar, man. So what was the ambitions to get that done?
So you missing a major chapter. I failed the 11th grade, and my parents sent me to Liberia, West Africa to be a missionary.
Yes, sir.
At 17 years of age, for me to get my head and to get my bearings. Liberia, for the viewers who may not know, is a country in Africa that was formed by ex-slaves, a land of liberty or land of freedom. Yes. And so I went there, studied, and then I came back to the United States, and I did the summer enrichment program at Morehouse that they have for high school juniors and seniors.
Okay.
And here's what is amazing is my parents were struggling missionaries, didn't have much money. Let me show you the full circle of the hand of God. So my college degree, my college education was paid for by Bishop Eddie Long. So for me to come back to New Birth and be at the church where my predecessor didn't know he was educating his successor is everything about seed sown in good ground is going to come back. He would have never in a million years thought I randomly would be the one safeguarding his legacy. Wow. And so I'm just grateful. Every mistake of my life set me up for the successes of my life. My life is just an ebb and flow. Whenever I have a great success, I go through a great mistake. Whenever I go through a high point, I hit a great low point. God has not given me the grace to fail privately. Everything that I go through, good or bad, I go through on a world stage. And it is that which gives me my thorn in my flesh to keep me humble, to realize it's not Jamal, but it's God's grace.
Yes. Now, you know, what you just said was, man, that was awesome, simply because that I seen you go through some of the things you went through. Yeah. I was on a tour with you when you did World War Me. We went to Florida. I was on a tour with you, but you were strong. You were strong in all of that, facing all of that, man. How you stay so strong and you know, dealing with all of that?
I read a quote a couple of years ago. The problem with being strong is people don't expect you to have weak moments. And so you with me, we were going in churches, lines for books, and I was going back to the hotel depressed, unhappy, unfulfilled, trying to figure out what to do with my life. I fell on a national stage. All of the people who I was preaching with had their failures before they became national. I was the Gary Coleman of the gospel. I went from different strokes to burning down.
Yes, sir.
Burning down corner stores. So the body of Christ has seen me evolve and mature and develop, and for that I'm grateful.
Yeah, and you know, I am so proud of you myself. Speaking of Bishop Eddie Long, let me ask you something. Take me back to the day when you told your church in Baltimore that you had for so many years that you was leaving, heading to Atlanta to pastor New Birth?
It was like LeBron going to Miami. I had to sneak out down. They was burning my jerseys in the street.
Oh man!
But I knew my season was up.
Okay.
I was at peace about the next progression of my life. I was in pain for the people who helped me build when I didn't have anything, who believed in my vision through all of my shortcomings, all of my failures. But I knew that this is what it is that God was calling me to do.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, that's good. Now let me ask you, what have been your toughest challenge since you've been in New Birth? And put finances aside, but what's been your toughest challenge?
I'm gonna give it to you. It's very easy, very simple. It's one thing to be a founder, to be a visionary. It's altogether different to push somebody else's vision.
Yes.
So when I was a founder, I don't need buy-in. I don't need groupthink. This is what we're doing and we're going on. That was a shift. The second one is I pastored, you've been there, I pastored a young adult church, millennial church, Gen X church. This is the first time in my pastorate that I've had to say yes, ma'am, or no, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that's altogether different. That's two.
Yes.
Three, I'm a third generation AME preacher.
Okay.
I didn't know nothing about being missionary Baptist. So all of my upbringing, we sprinkled the water. So for me to get down in that pool was completely different and a shift. So those three, I think, would be probably the most pronounced.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. What's most important to you? Mission, core values, or vision?
Say those three again. I'm sorry.
Mission, core values.
Mission.
Core values or vision.
And you want me to pick out of the three?
Yes. Which one is the most important to you? We know all of them important, but which one is the most important to you?
I think vision.
Okay.
Vision is the most important. You remember our favorite Sunday school character was Samson. And everybody preaches about Delilah coming to find the source of his strength. And he finally bows down, acquiesces, and says, it's in my hair. So we know the CIA agents jump out, tie him up, and then cut his hair off. He loses strength.
Yes.
That's supposed to be the end of the mission. But then they gouge out his eyes. If all they wanted was his strength, they did that with his hair. Why was taking his eyes out so important? Because the enemy understands how critical vision is. Because if you can see your way out, it doesn't matter if you have a weak moment. If you can still keep seeing, that's how you're able to press through. And you got to remind yourself why we're in quarantine, why we're dealing with COVID-19. What am I seeing? What am I envisioning for my life, for my future, and for my assignment?
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful, Dr. Bryant. How do you balance your professional life and your personal life?
For 6 weeks, I've had more balance than I've had my entire ministry.
Yes.
Because I can't go nowhere. I can't do nothing.
Yes.
But I'm still in balance. My children, as you very well know, live in Maryland. And so I had to drive up to Maryland last Thursday. My twins turned 14. And I'm too gun shy to get on an airplane. So trying to find that balance is a rigorous one, but it only comes through intentionality.
Yes. Now, Dr. Bryant, you driving, man? I know we got to be in trouble if you driving.
I rode. I was driven.
Well, that's awesome, man. I want to go to this right here because this is something that just came out today. a 25-year-old young man by the name of Admar Albar was shot and killed by Gregory McMichaels and his son Travis McMichaels in Bush, I think it's Brunswick, Georgia, while jogging. What are your thoughts about that?
It is frightening and unnerving, and most of those who are on social media have just seen it in the last 48 hours. Mm-hmm. What is disturbing for me is that this happened in February.
Yes.
And we're just getting it. Furthermore, I've been mobilizing people to write the governor because courts don't open in Georgia till June 12th. So still no charges have been filed. Those two young men who killed this innocent Black man today are at home right now watching Jeopardy. No charges have been filed. And it's on tape. So it really says the shifting of America is that we're going backwards. Yes. That you can get away with this, and I guess this is a good place to remind you, this ain't 1960, it's 2020, and we're still dealing with the same issue.
Now you said something that made me think. You said that the courts are not open yet, right, in Georgia?
Yes.
But the salons and the massage parlors and all of that is open.
And the bowling alley, and the mall,
yeah,
and the nail tech place. And so this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm concerned, I'm worried that you're getting to see a whole lot more COVID cases in Georgia than we're prepared to see.
Wow. Now, from a leader standpoint, how do you rationalize a pandemic that you can't even see?
You can't rationalize it. It is irrational. There is no signs of who has it. There is no cure. There is no deadline for when this will be over. We don't know when we're getting back into church. So everything about COVID-19 is irrational. It's called COVID-19, and we dealing with it in 20. So it really is a picture for many of us who are still fighting last year's issues.
Yes. Now, how do you get people to still have faith and still trust God by going through this pandemic?
Because that's all that's left. The White House doesn't have the answer. World Health Organization, Dr. Fauci, CDC, your state municipalities have no answers. Schools are closed. The only thing we can do right now is trust God. I believe on the other side of this, we're going to see a revival around the world like we have not seen in 2 lifetimes. And I'm excited about the limitless possibilities of what the body of Christ can do in this hour.
Now, speaking on the other side of this, do you think church will still be the same after this?
It'll never be the same. Here's the core issue. It takes 30 days to make a habit, and we're going to be out of church for 90 days. People have figured out how to have praise while wearing pajamas. So why am I going to drive back to church?
Yeah.
My sanctuary holds 8,000 people. Imagine what's going to happen if we in church and somebody coughs. The whole notion of mega churches is dead. You're not going to be able to count it by how many people come in the building, but by how many people stream online.
Wow. Now, let me ask you this. How difficult is it preaching to a camera and the crowd?
It's awful. It's absolutely awful. You feel like you're in an insane asylum.
Yes.
It's completely different, but it is the new normal. I'm trying to adjust. I'm trying to make the cameraman say amen. It's a whole nother field, and it's really stretching me as a preacher.
Yes. Now, like we said earlier, you're doing a whole lot of community work up there. Outstanding work, man. I'm so proud of you. We know you, well, a lot of people don't know, but I can appreciate what you did for Bennett College. I can appreciate what you did for the bailout, the first timers, the first offenders, getting them out of jail. Partnered up with Delta Airline and JetBlue on your mission to help the Bahamas out. Now, you got some other things that you're working on. One of them is affordable houses for seniors.
Yes.
What is that about?
We're trying to do something novel that's going to take America by storm. There's a whole lot of assisted living, whole lot of senior housing across the country, but you can't find anywhere senior housing that allows seniors who have custody of their grandchildren.
Wow.
But in the Black community, that's as normal as apple pie. But there is no senior edifice anywhere that does it, and we're offering to do that as soon as the smoke clears on COVID-19.
Wow, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Also, you looking at doing a medical facility.
Yes.
On the grounds at the church, on the campus.
Yeah, New Birth is the largest land-owning Black church in America. And to that end, I've realized that we really have got to do some real land development and economic development. COVID-19 has taken the scab off of health disparity within our community, of where it is that they're brushing it under pre-existing conditions of obesity and diabetes and hypertension and heart disease and cancer. But nobody is dealing with, we don't have access, that we're underinsured if we have insurance at all.
Yes.
That's why this Sunday is going to be so landmarked at New Birth. I was able to get in our possession 10,000 COVID-19 tests.
Oh, wow.
10,000. And so Sunday, we're opening up our parking lot to make the church parking lot a mobile hospital. Wow. And people are going to pull in, get tested, and pull off. Yes. Nobody out the car. And I think that's what real radical, relevant ministry is supposed to look like.
Well, tell me this, Dr. Bryant, man, you're so motivated when it comes to the community, and that's a plus. And anybody should be able to appreciate that from you. Where did that come from? Having a community developed mind that you have.
Yeah, well, it comes from my times living in Africa and understanding a real sense of community. It comes from the fact that for 4 years before I became a pastor, I was National Youth Director of the NAACP. It comes from understanding the authenticity of the gospel is Jesus didn't just preach. He preached and he fed. He preached and he healed. He preached and he helped. And so many of our churches are only doing the preaching and the singing and doing none of the serving.
Wow, wow, wow. That's awesome, man. Now, what would you say to someone, what would you suggest to someone, for someone to do in their everyday routine that's going to help empower them? Like if someone doing something every day, they do different things. What suggestion would you have that you will give them that can help their routine to empower themselves?
An old preacher told me this when I was in college, and I've stuck with it to this day. He said, Proverbs is a book of wisdom. Read one chapter of Proverbs a day. Here's what he told me. You'll never lose your place because there are only 31 chapters. Read the chapter of Proverbs that matches the date.
Wow.
So if you're watching this today, you are to read Proverbs 6. You read that in the morning. In the night, you ought to read a selection from Psalms. You read Proverbs for wisdom for the day. You read Psalms to celebrate you survived the day. And so if people would take that as a part of their devotional and meditational, it's going to equip them for whatever it is that life throws at them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what book are you reading right now?
I'm reading this book now called 50 Things They Don't Want You to Know. 50 Things They Don't Want You to Know. I recommend it. Hold on, I'm going to get it for you.
Okay.
I'm coming. I'm still coming. This is the book I'm reading now, 50 Things They Don't Want You to Know. And I want to just read a couple of titles of chapters.
Okay.
Y'all got to get this book. When I got it, it messed me up. Chapter 1. From 2012 to 2016, more black women in New York City had abortions than gave birth. 2012 to 2016, more black women had abortions than gave birth. Let me give you chapter 7.
Yes.
Drug overdoses kill more Americans than gun violence. Drugs have killed more people than guns.
Yes.
Let me give you one more. 90% of plastic waste doesn't come from America, doesn't come from Europe. 90% of plastic waste comes from Africa and Asia.
Wow.
Yeah, so 50 things. While y'all are shut down, I want you all to get this book by Jerome Hudson, 50 Things They Don't Want You to Know.
Jerome Hudson.
Yep.
All right, I'm writing that down. I'm gonna have to get that.
You must.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I want to ask you, you know, we all have someone that we kind of look up to, or we look at that motivates us, that helps prepare us for the future, or whatever we're trying to do. Can you name at least 3 people outside of your father and your grandfather that has motivated you into being successful?
Yes. One would be Kwesi Mfume, who was president of the NAACP, a congressman, and just now returned back to Congress. He showed me how you can be an activist and a part of the system. So he would be one. Number 2 would be Bishop Neil Ellis from the Bahamas, who has helped me to look at the gospel through a global lens.
Yes.
Number 3 would probably be Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who took her wig off and is a cancer survivor, and is saying that she's able to do all of it through the grace of God. And so those would be my 3.
Wow. Man, I have someone that kind of chimed in on our chat, and they was asking about 50 things. He wrote the book. I thought he was asking the question, but he wrote the book that you was talking about earlier.
Okay.
You know, I also wanted to say, and when it was back in 2007 when I first saw you. I hadn't met you at that particular time, but I had just started Epitome magazine. And I was a member at the Potter's house at that particular time, and you came and spoke. And when I saw you, now at that particular time, I was just kind of getting into church. I didn't grow up in church. So when I saw you, I was like, wow. I was like, that's me right there. I said, I'm looking at your disposition. I'm looking at your swag. I'm like, okay, you show what you have done. Not only me, but you have shown men that it's cool to have a swag, still love and trust God.
Yes.
Yes. You showed me that, man, and I can really appreciate that.
Man, that means the world to me. Thank you.
Yes.
As cool as you are, I'll take all of it. I'm taking all.
Well, man, I'm just saying that it's something else out there for you. And when we get offline, we can kind of talk about it. But empowering our Black men, I think that's one of the things that's important in this day and time. That's one of the things that God has placed into me. And I think you'll be a perfect person to help do that. And I want to get with you on that.
Thank you. I look forward to building with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I know it's getting kind of late, so I'm not going to keep you on too much longer, man. But I just want to thank you, and I want to show you something. I don't know if you remember this.
It's Throwback Thursday, even on Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was killing the game back then.
Hey, you was killing it, man. Look at the tie, man.
Man, you made me look good. Thank you.
Well, man, I really appreciate your support with Epitome magazine. That wasn't the only time. We also had you on the cover when we did the fastest growing churches.
Yeah.
You was a part of that. But now we got to do something again, since you're doing all these wonderful things in Atlanta. You're at New Birth, so we got to get together and get you back on there.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Mail me that sweatsuit.
I got you. I do that. So, man, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I've been seeing you do Zooms and all kinds of things all over.
Yes, sir. As soon as COVID is over, you got to come hang out with me in Atlanta.
Please, I want to do that. Thank you. Thank you for the offer.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, and I get everything to you soon, okay?
All right, God bless.
God bless. Appreciate you.